Welcome, I'm Nid, and in this video we are going to be looking at the shift in learning style and how it is that you can really accelerate the transformation through not just intellectual learning, but through full embodied experiential learning at the same time, in a short space of time. So listen on to discover what there is here for you.
Allow your heart to listen.
In the book, The Marriage of Shiva and Aphrodite by Stephen R. Hill, it's a really beautiful, profound book where he actually opens by talking about his first experience of becoming self-realized. It's a very interesting but also very dense read. One of the really beautiful parts where he is looking at the type of learning and how we integrate and can advance our knowledge is between the ancient Greek methods, the Sophists and the Socratic Method, and how our modern education has taken its approach from the Sophist, where we have a virtue, or what we would call a value in our modern language, and that is perceived as being objectively kind of right, and we all align to that and we follow that. And so that creates our educational format where, science has a knowledge, maths has a set structure, and we have to perform and achieve and tick boxes to get results that show that we have acquired that knowledge. So it's a very mental way of learning. It's considered an efficient way of understanding things. However, the Socratic method of teaching from ancient Greek philosophy is actually still used in legal training. Now, whether or not you like lawyers in the world, and we all have our perceptions about what value lawyers bring into the world, there is a useful part in the Socratic teaching method that lawyers learn, and this, I feel, is really useful for us to start to expand, and it will take us into the experiential way in which we learn to help us actually embody. And this is so important for spiritual embodiment, to go beyond box ticking where I've done the right thing, why hasn't it happened? So if you're interested in law of attraction and you say, well, I made my intention, I said I allow it to come to me, why isn't it here? That would be you're applying the Sophist method, right? You've ticked the boxes, but maybe something's not quite changed deep within. And the first step is that actually it can be really helpful to use this Socratic method. So what happens in the Socratic method? Well, firstly, you're expected to go learn and find the knowledge yourself. Your teacher may give you readings, may even give you materials in which you're going to learn the concepts, learn examples of how it may have worked in life. And so this is how I approach my group container, Your Sanctuary. The clients, the participants, they have access to the self-paced courses, access to pre-recorded materials and workshops. And so they'll go away and they can watch those. And some of them are short, some of them are long. It just depends on the format of how they were created. And they could be listening to those while they're doing something else. It doesn't have to be like this intense study. It could be just taking in the information, letting the knowledge seep through, and in an energetic way, we are expanding our container, our field of what is available, what we have capacity to understand and experience. So this is the first step. We acquire the knowledge. The second part is when we then start to ask questions. So you may have questions straight away on reading, and you may want to ask that straight away to your teacher. And that's great. And so, I encourage my clients to send me messages to put into when we're going to come together. And this is what we do when we study law. Once we've done the reading, we come together in a lecture, and it's not actually a lecture. What happens is the teacher is going to say, so what did you take from this? And then they might say to another student, and what would be your counter argument to what that person took from it? Or could you deepen that? Could you expand on person A's explanation. Person B might say, well, I expand on it, but then it brings up a question for me. And this is used as a method of deepening our understanding through inquiry. And inquiry is actually what is used in our ancient spiritual traditions as the way of opening the mind. So we're never really seeking that clear answer that ticks a box like we have in the Sophist Method. We're actually seeking to constantly refine our alignment as we move through our understanding of things. So it's an expansive and deepening approach that happens in the live sessions when we are with one another. And through that, there may be moments where something really lands and hits the body, or we might take a practice to help that happen. And then what may happen is as you go away and you start to deepen your own ability to inquire and ask those questions, you also may then return back to lessons, may return back to some of the tools and the skills, and you start to see it in a deeper level. And this is our spiral language that we often use in healing. It's how we then deepen the spiral to go deeper beyond our prior understanding. We see it from a new perspective, and we each time we're seeing these new angles of understanding through this inquiry, through this process of letting it deepen into the body. And so we may return to the same tools and practices, but we experience them in a very different way. And they move through our body with a whole different opening and softening and integration. And I love using this approach to working with clients because it's deeply, deeply empowering. And it really requires us to use both sides of the brain, which I'm a big fan of whole brain living and learning, because it helps us rewire the way in which you may have been taught in school, the way in which we can sometimes limit ourselves in our approach to expanding, resolving, moving on from situations in our lives. So whether or not you're curious to join your sanctuary, and you're more than welcome to take a look using the link below and see if it feels like it might be the container for you, I really want to encourage and invite you to see this different way of learning is actually a path to deepening embodiment, to deepening your spiritual connection and understanding. And it's underneath systems like the Gene Keys. It's underneath our spiritual inquiry. It's part of the approach. And it may also help you with relating and connecting to lawyers in a different way. And if you do get into a situation where you need to work and interact with lawyers, then maybe it might give you a slightly different approach to empowering yourself in dealing with lawyers and how you talk to them and work with them and can understand the advice that they're giving you. Because if you bring that inquiring mind and that curiosity to what it is that they're sharing with you, they will probably be really impressed and they'll want to help you more and they'll give you more. And so that's a side tip for anyone who needs that kind of support in your life, and often it happens to us at some point. So I'm hoping that it will at least be able to empower some of you in those scenarios, but also in the way in which you approach your spiritual embodiment. And it's an invitation for you to experience this different method of how it is that you can expand and integrate gently and kindly through the normal ways in which we live and through everyday life experiences, being that opportunity to really soften and open yourself to a more fulfilling way of being in this world. Have a wonderful week.
Thank you for joining. Have a wonderful day.